How's everyone's summer been?
Too short. Hey, I can't believe it's already over. I'm based out of Philadelphia and it's getting cooler and cooler.
Yeah, it feels like winter already, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're lucky here in Germany. We've got absolutely scorcher of a day today. 27 degrees, sunshine, everything gorgeous. But apparently tomorrow it's going to start plummeting. So
rainy weekend ahead, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately. But at least today we're still enjoying it.
It's perfect.
It almost in reality looks like Knut's background sky at the moment. Nice and blue and
sunny.
True.
It is true, yeah. This is
it's also
true.
picked up from
Jean-Luc, we see now.
Great. All right, deep breath, everybody. Hey, so hello, everyone. Welcome to season 2 of the SAP Fiori-side Chat. As you noticed, we had a little bit of dust to start off, but I'm joined today by my co-host, Jean-Luc Terree, and we're both from the UX product management team. We have a great panel of experts with us joining us today, featuring Knut, Manske, Thomas Reiss, Joachim and Andreas Welsch. So welcome, everybody. Our topic today is around Fiori AI and the intelligence that the tools and the technologies that we're working on are bringing intelligence to user experience. So with that, I'd like to actually turn it over to Jean-Luc Terree for our introduction of our engagement.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
So sharing with you some rules of engagement for today's session. As you know, we focus on UX, SAP user experience and UX related topics. This is not a sales session, so we are not collecting information for the purpose of selling you anything. So as we'd like to know who you are, feel free to share your full name and your company name into the chat window. And if you don't know yet where is the chat window, you will find it at the bottom of your Zoom window. We understand that we are part of a large ecosystem, but please refrain from promoting third-party services or tools. This is an informal conversation. However, we're going to record this session, and this session will be made available at some point in our YouTube channel. And we try to keep this conversation professional, respectful, but also fun. You can ask questions into the chat at any time during the call. So the chat, again, is at the bottom of your screen. If you want to speak rather than typing, you can ask into the chat to be part of the panel discussion. If you are on the mic, don't forget to put you on mute if you are not speaking. Last but not least, this is your chat, so we count on you as well to make it interactive. Today, we might mention some forward-looking statements, some features which are not available yet. So this slide is just to say that please do not hold us accountable if things that you're going to see will not be made for real in the future. And now maybe over to our great panel for a round of introduction.
So maybe I'll start. I'm Tom Reiss. Some of you might have already heard me in some previous Fiori-side chats, product manager for Fiori with a focus on innovation topics. So Knut, do you want to continue?
Yes, sure. So I'm Knut Manske. I'm based out of Germany, and I'm the engineering lead for situation handling. And with situation handling, we try to bring intelligence into S/4HANA, but overall into our application landscape. And when we started with it, we dreamed to bring the right information to the right person at the right time. And on the other hand, we are also looking for automation, but really that should go hand in hand with human interaction. And that is where also my background is.
Okay, I'll jump in as the next one. My name is Joachim. I'm within SAP UX, the lead for the Fiori for AI team, and we have come up with a lot of application patterns we will discuss about today, and there's more content than you can think, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
Perfect. And then to close it off, hello everyone. My name is Andreas Welsch. I'm part of the SAP S/4HANA product management, where my team and I focus on bringing more intelligence into end-to-end processes of SAP S/4HANA.
All right, well, welcome everybody. So let me just kick this off maybe actually as a question to you, Andreas. So how does AI fit into all of SAP's product offering? What really is it?
That's a good question. So let me share one slide with you real quick here. So the part that really excites me about this opportunity that we have today in the industry is that we can help people get the right information, get better insights than ever before. And so along this vision, it's our goal to help make end-to-end business processes more intelligent through a combination of different technologies. Machine learning is just one, but you can also think about intelligent robotic process automation, conversational AI, or situation handling, of which we'll hear a little more about throughout the conversation, I assume. But really, when we look at this topic of intelligence in a business context, we see that we can help our businesses and customers learn from that data and continuously adapt and improve their business process, because there's such an influx of data, transactional data, operational data, experience data that we can make use of in these processes. But when we then think of what we actually want to accomplish and how we expose this to the user, we see three key things that I want to highlight. One is around assisting the decision making. So think about the person being very much in control of the actual decision, but the system giving you recommendations or giving you predictions. There could be a KPI that has been predicted and calculated based on machine learning, for example, or it could be a business situation that we raise. We make you aware of it, but what you as an end user do with that information is still up to you. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have the automation piece. So we can automate tasks within a business process and within a business system. So think about the matching of incoming payments to open invoices. That is something you can do in many other things as well. But you can also automate then steps in between systems through things like intelligent robotic process automation. One key principle that I want to highlight here is the part of trust. So we've seen early on when we've worked in co-developed solutions with our customers that questions come up on, well, this system now gives me a recommendation that I should choose option A or over B, or it's made these matches on my behalf. But how do I really know that this is the right information? I've run this process myself for the last 10, 20 years. How do I know that this is accurate, and how did the system even come up with that? So things around explainability and more transparency into that are key as well as we build trust. Obviously, everything should be integrated in the process and in the system, focused on delivering business value and outcomes. So it's tangible what the benefits are for you, and also be based on an enterprise-grade, scalable AI capability with lifecycle management to scale for the largest organizations. So I think I'll stop here, but that's it in a nutshell.
Right. So Tom, what does this mean actually in terms of standards and standardization across the Fiori user experience?
Right. Well, I mean, good question, and basically, like Andreas mentioned, intelligence is all about the system actually and looking at the data and making proposals, recommendations, this kind of stuff. So, S/4HANA and the digital core, before we introduce intelligence, the business suite even is a very, very powerful system. You've got all your business data there. Of course, it's a very powerful system, but it's not yet intelligent until it actually starts looking at the data, the system itself, and making, like Andreas said, recommendations, assisting the user, of course, potentially also even automating things if you can automate them. And of course, that makes the system intelligent to a user, right? But of course, you have to surface it, like you said. I mean, how does this then actually get to the user? And that's, of course, where obviously the user experience comes in, the design. And as you know, Fiori is our user experience for the whole company. This is the target design we have. And we've been, I've been writing blogs and talking about it for over a year now. Fiori 3, of course, is the current target we're aiming for. And one of the important parts of Fiori 3 is bringing intelligence into the user experience. So that means we have a whole load of design ideas, and of course we've implemented them as well for building the trust that Andreas was talking about. So of course we have things around, for example, making proposals or recommendations. And a very simple kind of recommendation can actually simply be having a ranked list. You know, the system might have some kind of model or some kind of capability of maybe, you know, which opportunities should I run after most, or which products need to be updated based on feedback, whatever. Another aspect, of course, is explanations. We have, as we'll talk later, we have a very powerful concept around situations, you know, how to deal with a business situation. The system can give you recommendations and explanations and so on. And we'll come to that actually soon. Maybe I can even just show you an idea of, before I hand over to, you know, to Josh, who's been doing a lot of the design work and of intelligence, of how we can actually surface, for example, you know, use a ranking just to surface stuff. So maybe I'll just share my screen to show you an example. So I don't know, some of you might have seen this already. This is in procurement. So I'm a purchaser, and I'm looking at materials that don't have a contract. And, you know, if you want to save purchasing costs, of course, you can negotiate a contract to purchase a certain amount. And that, of course, you know, you get better price that way. And so the system is actually looking at the green bubbles here are where contracts exist. The blue ones are where there's no contract, but the system is actually proposing that we should perhaps negotiate a contract because we're ordering a lot, total gross amounts. There's a big spend here. We have also a lot of items being ordered. And so obviously the top right is a sweet spot. And you can see here a ranking. So this is a very simple way of kind of giving a guidance. But in fact, it's not just two-dimensional. So you can, and this is the other aspect of getting trust. How do I know that the system is actually giving me a good recommendation? You can in fact just simply click here. And then this is the design pattern, if you like, for an explanation. And you see the total gross amount and the number of PO items are obviously the top two criteria, but we have other ones like, you know, days between the first and last order. So how often is it being ordered, or the number of suppliers, or is it still relevant? I mean, if it hasn't been ordered for a year, then it's probably not so relevant. And as you can see, you obviously get different weightings here. And that gives a user trust that this is why it's being proposed. So you actually have some red ones, but a lot of very green. So this is why it's also highly ranked. And this just simply shows you a pattern here. You know, you've got a ranking, so the system's making a recommendation, and you have an explanation component. Yeah, and so that's a simple example, but of course we have a lot more. And I don't know, maybe Josh wants to take on, or
yeah, we all already mentioned that the implementation of AI for SAP means a lot of, has a lot of potential, and it has a lot of opportunities for us. And so SAP UX, we have identified several patterns, application patterns, which are reaching over the whole system and can be applied in many contexts. This is, for example, we have the already named situation handling recommendations we have been also seeing here. The next one would be explanations, which we just have seen, and for sure, and last but not least, feedback. Because feedback should be provided at a lot of stages, and so that you can actually involve yourself and bring yourself into the system, bring your feedback into the system. And by having spoken this, and we talked a lot on the situation handling, I can see, I mean, Knut, maybe you want to a little bit iterate on the situation handling?
Yes, sure. So I think we will also see an example. I think Thomas Reiss prepared for that, but roughly, it's we try to recognize issues requiring attention, attention by a business expert, and we recognize these instead of a business expert having to dig for problems and search for problems. And today, usually the business experts have their reports ready where they look in every day or every Friday, for instance, and then they recognize the problems. And if they do not have the time to do so, they might miss out on them. With situation handling, we really recognize them automatically, bring them proactively to the right users at the right time. On the other hand, we are collecting data in the background on that to better analyze the problems finally, and also to get process improvements out of this. and also feed into the automation streams and then be prepared for machine learning. And I think we should start with a real example here, and I think Thomas is already looking forward to showing the example, such that you get a feeling, what we built here with the situation handling.
Yeah, so thanks, Knut. So maybe I showed an example earlier. Of course, ranking is a very powerful way of making a recommendation and getting an explanation. But like Knut mentioned, we've taken it even a step further with the situation handling. And before I show actually a demo in the system, just to summarize actually what Knut just mentioned verbally, the whole point about situation handling is you have typically some kind of business situation. So there's some kind of trigger, something's happened in the real world. This should of course be something that's not so common. So I mean, if a truck is delivering goods as planned, hopefully that happens often. Then we would have typically as a pattern, maybe a simple list of a work list or something for people to work on. But if you have a not so often situation to deal with, then of course you need some kind of trigger or notification. And so basically the situation handling framework, if you like, in the middle, this is what it's doing to help the user. You have some kind of conditional rules that you can define as a customer to specify, this is actually now over a threshold, this is really serious, it needs attention. The user gets a notification or in the future also gets a kind of alert in the application to show that this object, for example, has a situation associated with it. There's related information, of course, so you get the business context as a user, so you get an explanation, what is the situation, and typically the system will actually give you some actions that you can take to mitigate the situation. And the full-blown approach we want to have is that it'll make a certain number of proposals, even rank them, saying, this is our preferred one, and also give you an explanation. So why am I actually proposing to deal with it this way? So that the user also trusts the system. So you don't want to deal with a situation and then have your managers asking you, well, why on earth did you do that? That wasn't very clever, right? So of course you want to have trust that it's actually making a sensible proposal. And what I have here is a little demo. It's actually a recording, but another example again in procurement, where basically a supplier who has actually in the past already confirmed that they can deliver everything on time has now actually informed us that something went wrong and they can't actually deliver on time anymore. And so basically here you see the Fiori launchpad for this system, and basically we go into the notifications, and here you see pending supplier confirmation. There's a quantity deficit in the supplier's delivery, so basically it's not going to be able to deliver, and the user can just simply click on this notification, and that'll take you to this dedicated view here of this purchase order item, a kind of situation view, where you see then the actual explanation. So based on the delivery confirmation, it'll not be delivered on time. You see here then also the pertinent information. So 50 pieces are missing. You've got 7 days until it should be delivered. And you have then supplier contact data. So if you wanted to obviously phone the supplier, and in particular the alternative suppliers. So these are actually the actions you can take. You could choose simply one of these and simply create a purchase order, and that way actually deal with it by ordering it simply from another supplier. So that's very powerful. And in fact, what we also have, you see here this indicator. So if I looked at this item, I'd see that there was an issue with it. I can hide the situation details and go into the normal view of the purchase order item. So this is the standard view, or of course I can show the details of the situation. So if I didn't go by a notification and just went into the item, I would also be able to deal with it this way. So that's just a very quick look at an example. And I hope you get the idea. And of course, the power of situation handling, as you can see, it's not really rocket science, right? I mean, you have a rule, you have some related information actions, but of course, the more we provide that to the users, the more powerful it becomes, because they can deal with these not so common situations very easily. Otherwise, you'd have to start searching through the system in the example I showed you for purchase orders. Who had I ordered it from in the past? You'd have maybe to find different other applications, start filtering and so on. And here you have everything just at your fingertips. So it's a very, very powerful pattern. And of course, what I've just shown you now is the end user view. But in fact, there is there's a whole framework behind it, of course, to help you as a customer monitor situations so that you can see are users really following the recommendations or not. So this is, of course, something especially Knut, I'm sure, can tell us more about. So I'm just trying to look how I can. Oh, here we stop sharing at the top here. There you go.
I think,
so, yeah.
I think very important here is that you said it's not like rocket science. Yeah, the main thing that we do, or really the basis of what we are doing in situation handling, is we recognize issues that require attention. Yeah, and just recognizing the issues, yeah, and kind of bringing them into the loop, yeah. So first, humans, yeah, have a chance to react on that. Yeah. On the other hand, we can start off with automation. We can start off with rule-based automation. Yeah, and we are also collecting the data in the background to enable then also machine learning-based automation. Yeah, in the future. Yeah, that's something which is really a strong basis for the intelligence across the parts of our S/4HANA. So we have different applications, and all are kind of handled in the same manner and work the same. Yeah, and that's really the foundation, yeah, of the intelligence here, and we are building upon that, and it's easy to use.
Yeah.
And by the way, as we speak, we start to have a question in the chat that I believe are super relevant. The first one is coming from Warren, who is asking if all what you present now is out of the box or available via RPA. I mean, can you elaborate about what it means today for customers, how they can activate it, and what's the reality today for our customers?
Okay. Yeah, so maybe I can say something because I showed the demo. So the example I showed with the ranking and the explanation, that is out of the box. That is a standard application in procurement. The situation example I showed is kind of out of the box. The reason I say kind of is we actually ship templates for customers to use. But of course, you have to set it up yourself. So one important aspect of course of the situation is who's responsible for dealing with it, right? And we actually in S/4HANA have a responsibility framework or responsibility management where you can define teams and people in teams, and of course even substitutes if people are on vacation and so on, for how for responsibilities for certain things. And the situation framework uses exactly that responsibility management to determine who should get notified, for example. So obviously that's something we can't ship out of the box. We don't know all your employees, so you have to basically take, with these situations, you have to set it up, you have to define who are the responsible people. And of course, you have to define the rules yourself. So, I mean, you know, which for a given situation, we'd have a certain amount of parameters, obviously, as part of the template to take into consideration. But you need to, you know, set the thresholds, for example. So how, where is the threshold for actually, you know, the situation to be so important? So maybe, you know, with this non-confirmation, if it was something maybe a month in advance, you wouldn't necessarily maybe notify, but if it's, let's say, 2 weeks in advance and you want a notification, just for argument's sake, so, you know, you need to set it up. But it's actually very simple, yeah.
You mean very simple, Tom, and maybe this is related to the question asked by Vikas on the chat. I mean, can we have an estimation about the effort to customize and parameterize all the situation stuff? I mean, do we have an idea? You say simple, but how simple it is?
So Knut, I don't know, maybe you have.
So maybe I can give an insight here. So what we currently deliver with the 2008 cloud delivery, and that's just to have a fixed point here. So there we deliver 52 templates, and if you want to use one of the templates, then the time to really activate one of the templates is in the minutes spectrum. Yeah, so you have to define your part of the organization, so the responsibilities. Yeah, that might take some discussions, but as soon as you enter those responsibilities, to activate a situation takes like 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, so we did that online with customers already, and activating one use case might be really that quick, as I mentioned. Yeah, so the main part is really defining your responsibilities, defining your organizational structure, and if you have that properly prepared and properly entered, then you can just go ahead. Yeah? And if you want to go simple, you could also say, okay, for this kind of situation, I want to try it out, and I have one team that takes care of this situation, then you just enter those 5 names and you have the one team and you can assign it to the situation, and then takes you whatever 20 minutes, for instance. Yeah, and that's I think a rough estimate that I can make here.
So I have a follow-up question to that a little bit, which is that we talk about situations and we demonstrated that. I mean, does the AI, does situations only manifest themselves in certain portions of the user experience? Is it only within the Fiori Launchpad, or is there an opportunity for these things to be surfaced in individual applications or in some other different manner?
Well, yeah, I take this because this is a typical UX question, and I'll just share my screen.
So while you're doing that, I think one thing you can certainly say is it's not just on the Launchpad. You could have
definitely not.
Applications as well.
No, sorry. Definitely not. It's not just on the Launchpad. Well, what you can see here, we have here an increasing information display, and what has happened to the inside the demo, what actually Tom has shown. So first of all, to make it easy, we'll just went alongside the t-shirt sizes. So we start from very small to very large. And what you can see here, along with situations, we have always an indication. We have always our indicator going alongside with the situation. Then, as you have seen on the Launchpad, there was a notification coming, which is the S size of information, which is displaying to you. Okay, here now there's a push notification to you on a certain element, where we actually have the small indication. And with click of that, you get directly into the situation context. But if you are on the object itself, then you would actually be getting also the little indicator, what you have seen within Tom's demo, and this is already disclosing you a little bit more information. And then we come to the L size, which is and this is introducing here a little bit of an outlook as the new SAP UX concept. It's a situation page. It's a focus on the situation itself, and it's giving you the header, all the details to the situation itself, and then actionable recommendations at the bottom to solve the topic and to solve this issue you have in this moment with the most recommended actions. Okay, I stop sharing here again.
So maybe a comment here. One of the words that I really liked on Thomas's slide was the word powerful. And I think if we look at the things that we've covered so far, situation handling is extremely powerful. Not only can you give the business user information proactively about a situation that they need to be aware of, but you can also give them progressively more and more information as they go down the rabbit hole and find out more and more about what is happening here as they drill down. And they don't need to look in 5 different screens or 5 different systems for the information they need to make a decision. Situation handling leads you down that path to the right information to make that decision. And to Knut's point, adding AI and ML into that picture and explainability then also helps make those suggestions proactively, make them better because they're based on your data, things that you have historically chosen, and how you want to act there. But it also helps increase the trust and transparency of why we are recommending that you take this action. I think it's again very, very powerful. And to Knut's point, if all it takes is 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes the most to set this up, that's a quick win, right? And that makes a significant impact.
Thank you, Andreas. And maybe coming back to Vika's question, because I'm not sure that we entirely answer to this question, is asking, in case of custom scenarios project, how can this, AI, be estimated in terms of effort and proposed to the customer? So we address the fact that when there is a situation proposed, customers can, in a matter of minutes or 20 minutes, it says that they can adapt the situation to their business needs. But in terms of pure, let's say, custom scenarios? Is that something that we can propose to leverage what SAP offers in terms of AI? So the question is, in case of custom project or scenario, is there something we today offer, and at what cost?
I think that maybe there are different aspects. I mean, I could say, obviously, if it's out of the box, like the ranking and so on, then of course, it's just standard implementation. If it's situations like Knut mentioned, that's also pretty standard. I think where it becomes more interesting, of course, is, you know, custom scenarios and projects. And I think there are two dimensions there. One of them is, in fact, the situation framework today is something that we ship with S/4HANA, and we provide templates. We do have on the roadmap, I think it's towards the end of next year, that we could hopefully, so it's a question mark always with, you know, a year away, actually have the framework enable you to even define your own situations. But obviously that's...
Sorry about that. We have a technical glitch. Tom, do you want to kind of follow up there?
Thank you for telling me that. So I was, I think I was saying that we're planning perhaps towards the end of next year. We'll have to see. It's quite a while away, and there are quite a few engineering challenges to solve. Hopefully we can provide an extension to the situation framework so that you can in fact define your own situation. So even if SAP hasn't actually, you know, for a certain business object or a certain area actually foreseen a template, that you could in fact define your own. So, but of course, how much effort that would be, we have to see how the solution looks like when we've actually provided it. I think where it gets perhaps more interesting, because it's already available today, we do of course have quite a few machine learning cases, for example, in S4, and of course there's a machine learning framework there. So I don't know, maybe Andreas, you want to comment there, if you know what kind of efforts do you see customers in projects where they're doing their own machine learning or AI?
Sure. So you know, there are a number of things available out of the box. Many already come as part of standard with your SAP S/4HANA subscription or license. But we also see customers asking and having the intent to build additional things or extensions to that. So there are a number of capabilities available on SAP's business technology platform or SAP Cloud Platform, where you can consume individual business services as APIs and embed them in your application. For example, to do an intelligent OCR with machine learning, extracting information from PDF documents and Excel sheets and so on, and using that information or that data points actually then in your next steps of the process. I think it really depends on the complexity of what you want to achieve, but the goal is that we equip you to the best way possible to do this with the technologies and the same technologies and frameworks that we use as part of S/4HANA as well.
But I mean, talking of surfacing, I mean, maybe Josh, you have some examples. I mean, we've looked at you know, the situations, but of course, I mean, there are general examples of having explanations, right? Or
yes.
For example, you want to share some of the design. Yes, and of course, we also have a design guideline for AI as well. So maybe you want to.
Let's have a little bit of an in-view into this. But I have the feeling I cut a little bit loose here. The one concept I was just, because we are now after this slot moving away from situations. So I just would like to share one time more in detail out the situation page in itself as a concept, and then we'll head on into the other concepts. Certainly. Here we go. And this situation page I just shortly want to introduce, because we had only very little thumbnail of this concept. And in the previous slide I shared, and this one shows it a little bit more in detail. So you have there basically three parts. It's a header, the contextual block, and the recommendation block. And what you see with this principle from Fiori, which is consistency, is that we have consistent sections going all the way through, meaning the header and the footer stay the same. They always are focused, and but where is the flexibility of the situations now coming in? And this comes in now in the context area, and this context area, in this case here, it's a supplier deficit, it's a procurement example, bringing to you all the informations you need to take next actions, for example, contact the supplier, and then going forward on this to show you that this principle is actually working in a consistent manner. I have now here a second slide prepared. You can have the inside also maybe a graph, and this is here a total workforce management example from this HR end-to-end process. So I just stop here and we'll just go on to the explanation topic. And
well, perhaps before that, maybe just a question to Knut, because these are designs, of course, but we still need the framework to actually provide this out of the box. I think we have a very first version of a situation page for these message-based situations that just came out recently. But maybe Knut, do you want to mention what's the current roadmap when you think you might have a situation page like this?
Yeah, this is a good question. So the situation page, as you correctly said, Thomas, is available now for a subset of situations, which is the message-based situations. It's available on the 2008, and it will be available with 2020 on-premise. And by the way, situation handling is also available on-premise. So we do cloud first, but always after the end of the year, the on-premise solution gets also the most of the templates, yeah, so those that fit into on-premise also, there are some that are limited to cloud. And regarding the situation page, as said, for the message-based situation handling, where the first use case is now with FICA, which is contract accounting in finance, we have this, and you can nicely configure also the solutions, yeah, that should be offered to the user for the different use cases, and there you can also define use cases on your own based on the messages that usually FICA creates. Yeah, so it's a special pattern that we have here, and then you can get a first glimpse on how we envision this to behave also for the then called so-called object-based situations. Yeah, so we believe that we transfer what we have for the message-based situations, we transfer this to the object-based situations and also make it more flexible and more nicer and more content rich. Yeah, and we believe that we will have it. That's the plan, and we hope that we have it with 2105 for the cloud, and then for the next on-premise delivery next year. So it's 2021. That is the plan that we have.
Okay, cool.
So sorry, go ahead, Andreas.
Yeah, just real quick, because I saw one question in the chat from Warren earlier that I would like to respond to, and I think it lends itself well to what we're discussing here. And I think Warren's question was, for ideation from customers is the only method customer influence for Fiori. So we continuously look for new ideas, new templates we can take into the product, and a close exchange and dialogue with customers is key for us. So great, we have 52 templates already available for you to use and customize, but there's so many more situations that are out there or that you might see. So I would recommend Customer Influence either for Fiori or for the line of business topics as the prime channel. However, if you're interested in a deeper dive and would like to share what you are seeing, happy to set up a separate session with you to talk more about these things in detail and hear what you are seeing. If this is of interest, please send me a private message here with your information, and I'd be happy to follow up together with my team. So just
yeah, and just to expand on that, of course, customer influence, like you say, is absolutely the core. We do occasionally also have on these kind of topics also customer engagement initiatives, which is a more intense kind of cooperation. We regularly have them on UX topics. So if you are interested, do have a look at the customer engagement initiative lists. I think there are 3 times a year there's a call. The next one is coming out soon, or maybe has already been published. So it's as we speak, more or less. And I know there is one planned actually in a a related area, which we're not really going to be focusing on much in this call today, namely the digital assistant. So we actually have a beta for some first, we've kind of revamped the whole Copilot approach with the new SAP Conversation AI platform. And we have some very first, if you like, chatbots providing as a digital assistant for some roles. And certainly there also as a CEI we're starting on beginning of October actually. So if anyone's interested in that area, of course you can have a look there. We don't have much focus on this because it's something that's planned to become available more like probably second half of next year. So we're not really focusing much on this particular session now, but certainly customer influence is prime one, but check the CEI initiatives as well.
Yeah, let me quickly use here what you actually see as background for the explainable AI, or what we actually have as background for explainable AI. We just have our 3 levels, which is the on-screen level, where you get their first already explanatory information on the result. For example, behind the ranking we have seen, we could have had best option or something like this written, which is already a hint into this direction. Then we see the level which we have noticed there, which is actually containing there the direct explanation for the end user. And then we have at the 3rd level also an expert view on how the AI is performing. And this is not available for all users, but here you can actually then see what is your current performance, when is there a new training of the algorithms requested, etc., etc. And to actually come to this, and I would like to make a point here also, we have all of this in our external guidelines here, in addition available, which is here the design intelligent systems, and you can follow this up in detail. And here you can see all our different other topics and elements we didn't really elaborate today on, but here we have them all listed. You can go there, read it, and follow up on this. But what you can see, and what is my vision for the future, is that we have there AI, ML, machine learning as accompanying you while you're working with a system in a consistent manner, in a transparent manner, in work cumbersome tasks, that it's handed over to an AI algorithm and feeding you back the results so that you can check it, and then continuing further on to work on. This is a vision I have for the future for our system. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Joachim. So I guess for the audience here, I mean, this is a deep topic, right? And as we started off, it's like what's available today. We spoke about situations, the framework being available there, and there's more coming, right? So I think where else could people like Basmi see? It's like, what is it? What's available in the various products of SAP today? How do I find out that information? Are there other links that we want to share? Are there other locations that people can use to follow up?
I think a lot of good content is available on help.sap.com about situation handling, about the individual situations that are available. If you're looking at more implementation type guidelines and recommendations together with the SAP Activate methodology, you'll find information on situation handling in the explore, prepare, and run phases. So whether you're preparing for an implementation or you've already implemented and are now looking for additional innovations, that would be in run. There's good information there. I think on the blogs.sap.com, there was just a new series released by the Fiori UX product management team. I would encourage you looking into that as well. Those are just 3 off the top of my head that I can think of. I'm sure the team might have other suggestions as well. But
Yeah,
there's
so
definitely
on
a
the
lot
blogs,
of
the SAP community, of course, there's a Fiori topic page. So of course, anything that's flagged with Fiori, you'll find there. So if it's situations related, you might find things there. But I don't know. Is there actually? Do you have actually a community tag for AI topics actually in S4, or blogs are written on the topic?
Yes, definitely. You would most likely find it under Intelligent ERP. Mm-hmm. That's the tag we typically use.
Okay, cool.
So for the audience, I think one of the things that we can do and we will do is, as we publish this to the YouTube channel, we'll put together a list of links that would be useful for you to refer to in all of these topics, right? It's a lot of content here. We'll try and organize that and make that stuff available for you. So with that, we're getting close to the top of the hour. Any final thoughts here from from the panel or other questions from the audience here that we'd like to cover in the next 2 minutes?
Yeah, perhaps one thing, I mean, just also looking at the last question there, people talk about AI, and there's, of course, a lot of talk about machine learning and deep learning, and of course, the training a system to teach itself how to play Go and beating the world champion and all this kind of stuff. But I think it's important to also realize that even the good old rule-based approach is actually still artificial intelligence. I mean, if a customer has a lot of experience in a domain and they can define rules, if this is happening so much, then please do this. If this is happening, that is still machine intelligence, right? It's not machine learning. It's human learning being put into rules, of course. And if you think about it, back in the 80s, 90s, expert systems was the sort of leading edge artificial intelligence. Of course, now there's a whole load of stuff you can do with machine learning, especially pattern recognition and everything. And so this is a great beauty of what we're doing with the situations. We have the rule engine there, so you can use your experience to define the rules for it. But we also have examples, and there's one also in procurement where machine learning is also leveraged. They do sort of text analysis as part of that. So yeah, I think it's important. It's not all machine learning. We have some that are machine learning, but we also have some that are rule-based, and that is certainly can provide a very intelligent experience for the user, right?
Perfect. Anything else from the panel?
Yeah, and I think the most important thing here is, really that there is not kind of the human, that receives some recommendations, and then there is the machine learning that does the automation. But as Josh said, Joachim, and also Thomas, so there's really a hand in hand of the proactive user support and of the automation and of what you feed in as rules, as a customer, and that really goes hand in hand, and that makes the overall user experience valid, and that also helps your customers or yourself to be more successful in the future. And that is what you should take. There's no either or, but there's really an and.
Right. All right. Hey, well, thank you, Andreas, Knut, Joachim, Thomas, again, for a wonderful, summary or overview here of AI. It's a deep topic. We hope that you'll all join us again in the future. Thank you for this conversation. And for everybody in the audience, thank you for joining us today. And you can see our recordings on our YouTube channel, and they're also linked from our wiki from the tiny URL that is shown on your screen as well. So with that, I want to thank everybody for participating and really appreciate your input.
Thank you, Keith.
Perfect. Thanks for having us.
And have a great rest of the day. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.